Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. So, today I want to do just a very basic flower bloom. And the reason I'm going to go back to this is because I've just had so many people just saying they're not getting the hang of it. So, all I really want to say is, just start with your basics, get to know your resin, and practice even on small coasters. I know resin is expensive and you don't want to waste it. So, stick to a small coaster until you get to know how your resin works, how it heats up, etc., etc. So, I've got this ruffled edge mold that I'm going to use. I've got two of the pigments that I'm going to use, which is an apple green and sort of a golden yellow color. I've got some ocean white pigment that I'm going to be putting into some of the resin. And I have got 110 grams of already mixed 1-to-1 resin that I'm going to use. Now, you see, you might think it's got a bit of a blue tinge to it. It's just that I upcycle the cups and I use them over and over again. So the last one that I did, I used a light blue, but it's cured and I'm reusing the cup and it's fine. My mold is level, and so I'm going to pour out about 20 grams into a separate cup, of which I'm going to add 2 drops of my ocean white into that. So the whole thing with a bloom is you've got to get your temperature up of the resin. So I've got a thermometer and I'm just going to keep track of how the resin heats up. So all resins are different. You've got to get to know your own resin, and that's why I'm saying start with a small coaster. So I've learned that, in fact, I'm using another resin at the moment, but for this resin, I've got to get my temperature up to about 37, 38 degrees. So I'm going to just monitor it. At the moment, it's on about 32. So I've mixed my white into the resin that I poured out, and the resin went up to 38 degrees. So I'm pouring that into my mold now. And the reason you've got to heat it up is because as you pour it into your mold, it's going to cool down slightly. And the surface of the resin starts to contract, and that's what pulls your pigments in. So you have to make sure, but also not take it over so that it does a quick cure. So it just takes a little bit of practice and getting to know your resin. So I used my little heat gun to remove any bubbles, and I'm now placing my pigment in. And I'm just going to put it where I want it. I want more white on the outside this time, so I've put my pigment more towards the middle and it will spread out. And then I've transferred my white into a piping bag, and I'm just going to go around the edge and towards the center and just do a spiral. It's a very basic, simple bloom. But to start with, honestly, just keep practicing this and you will get the hang of it, and then you can try different styles. I just take the end of my paintbrush and I'm pulling in towards the center. And I'm going to do it again. And I'm just going to do a very quick little spiral in the middle. And then hopefully everything will begin to pull in towards the center and my bloom will start forming. Cover and let it cure. So what I'm doing here is I'm just using a chameleon powder and I'm going around the edge. In fact, I ended up putting it all over the mold. I just wanted to see what the effect would look like, especially around the edges, but also if there's any kind of like little gaps, you would maybe see this kind of bit of a sparkle coming through once everything's cured. I ended up just starting to use my finger. It was quicker. And this camellia, it really goes fast. So you just have to put a very, very thin layer and it will cling onto the resin. I then poured another 80 grams and I've mixed a purple in there, just a purple mica powder, and I'm going to do this is the backing. This mold is quite a deep mold, so I don't fill to the top. I kind of do it 3/4 of the way. I find that these coasters are quite, if you go right to the top, they're quite thick. So I do it about 3/4 of the way. I prefer that thickness. And then I'm just popping any bubbles with my heat gun again. And I'm going to cover and I'll leave overnight to cure. And that's the result. I mean, it's a very basic bloom, but you can grow on this. You know, you can start using more of your pigments. But I really just wanted to show you how it can, you know, your heat is important. And then you can kind of get a bit of a sparkle of the chameleon powder that I put. You can see it between the petals. But thank you for watching, and I hope it's helped. And until the next one.